To the ward in France. I've just had to come in and light the fire because it's properly cold out there today. So having a nice chilled afternoon in front of the fire, watching a couple of movies. But I wanted to ask questions to people that watch this because when people move to France, they often come as a family or as a couple. I want to find out if there's anybody out there that moved to France or to a different country, but certainly France because it's where I live, whether they moved on their own, because it's a completely different experience when you come on your own. So if there's anybody out there that moved here and decided to set up a new life as a single person, it'd be really interesting to hear from you, to find out what your experiences have been like, because it's properly challenging. I wanted to just very quickly talk about sort of buying and selling houses, because when you come from the UK, most people come here because you get much more for your money. And I certainly did. Moving from a relatively big flat in London, I was able to sell my flat and buy this house outright without having a mortgage, which is really, really good. But one of the pitfalls, and I think a lot of people fall for it, is they come and they see the dream because of what is being sold on TV a lot about how, you know, particularly where it's all sunny climates. But, you know, for 4 months, 5 months, we're sitting in really cold conditions in the southwest of France. It gets properly cold. It was -4, I think, this morning when I was out walking the dogs. But one of the things that you live and learn is when you buy somewhere in France, I reckon the trick to really having a bit of a safety net is, if you can afford not to, is to sell your property back in the UK. Because 10 years ago, I made this decision really, really quickly, and I sold up and I moved without really thinking about the long-term implications. Not that I want to go back to England, but the long-term implications is once you've sold and you've bought somewhere outright, you will never get your money back on the house that you've bought, despite the money that you spend on renovating it and putting it right. So effectively, you can't afford to go back to England. Certainly couldn't afford to go back to London. And if you could afford to go back to England, you might have to get another mortgage, and you'd live in something a lot smaller. And I know a lot of people over the years that have become really disenchanted with living here, because the property market tends to move quite slowly as well. And by the time they leave, they've bought somewhere in England that is not where they want to be, not the size they want it to be, and they're really fed up with living in France, and therefore stop getting anything good out of being in France. So also that's a question I would ask is there anybody out there that has had that experience where they've moved here thinking that this is going to be the dream, and they realise it's not, and then they can't go back to what they had before? Interesting one. Fortunately, I don't feel that way, but say it does affect a lot of people. Brexit has had a huge impact on ownership here as well. And I'm hearing more and more frequently that there are more people selling and going back because of Brexit, because a lot of people have second homes here. And because they get 90 days out of every 180, they still have to pay for the upkeep and the maintenance and all the taxes on their houses for the whole year, but they're restricted on the amount of times they can be here unless they go for the visa applications. And a lot of people that have second homes here are of a certain age where it's all a bit complicated. They have to go to a visa office and try and find things, try and fill in all the paperwork, which people get really miffed with. So Brexit had a huge impact on Britons living in France unless you take residency, which was something that I did a couple of years ago. That's it really. It's really cold. I'm still waiting to find out about office space in Bergerac. Again, one of the frustrating things here is that it doesn't matter how many phone calls or emails you send to the people, the owners or the agents, they take an incredibly long time to reply. We've just come to the end of a 2-week half term where nothing gets done, nothing gets resolved. So we wait and see. So anyway, we're going to have a nice warm afternoon and back to work tomorrow. But please continue to like and subscribe. Thank you very much for everyone that has. I've just discovered TikTok and I created an account on TikTok yesterday. Pretty good TikTok. It's really easy to use and I put 2 little things up with this one here, 3D Beads, and this one here, Hugo Bugo, and I'm getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of views, which I didn't expect, but TikTok's great. So I think for a nearly 55-year-old man, I'm doing all right learning new technology, and I'm surprised at how uneasy it is coming to me. I thought I'd be able to pick things up really quickly, but I can't. And I'm sorry I can't, but my brain is stuck in the 80s, I think, or the 90s. Let's say 1985, between 1985 and 1995. Anyway, have a good week, and I'll post again soon, perhaps with something a little bit more interesting. And thanks for watching. Have a good one. Stay warm wherever you are and stay well. Cheerio.